Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sumukascha Ekadantascha Kapilo Gajakarnakaha Lambodharascha Vikato Vignarajo Vinayakaha Dhumaketur Ganadhyakshaha Phalachandro Gajananaha Vakratundaha Surpakarno Herambaha Skandapurvajaha Shuklambaradharam Vishnum Sasivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopasantaye Yasya Dviradavaktradhya Parishadhya Parasatam Vignam Nignanti Satatam Vishvaksenam Tamasraye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheswaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Namo Brahma Dibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsa Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Sarvo Paplava Rahitaha Prajnana Ganaha Pratyagarto Brahmaivaham Asmi Om Narayanam Padmabhavam Vasishtham Saktim Cha Tatputra Parasaram Cha Vyasam Shukam Gaudapadam Mahantam Govinda Yogindra Mathasya Sishyam Sri Sankaracharya Mathasya Padmapadam Cha Hasta Malakam Cha Sishyam Tam Totakam Vartika Kara Manyanasmat Gurun Santata Manatosmi Shruti Smruti Purananamalayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyoma Vadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Now we covered up to Slokam number 7. With Swami's grace and Acharya's Kripai and Anugraham and blessings, let us continue. Balastavat Krita Saktaha Tarunastavat Taruni Saktaha Vriddhastavat Chinta Saktaha Parame Brahmani Kopina Saktaha. We concluded that. Now we go to Slokam number 8. Kate Kanta Kaste Putraha Samsaro Yamativa Vichitraha Kasyatvam Kakkuta Ayataha Tattvam Chintaya Tadiha Bhrataha Kate Kanta Kaste Putraha Samsaro Yamativa Vichitraha Kasyatvam Kakkuta Ayataha Tattvam Chintaya Tadiha Bhrataha. The Padangal words are Ka te Kanta Kaha te Putraha Samsaraha Ayam Ativa Vichitraha Kasya Tvam Kaha Kuta Ayataha Tatvam Chintaya Tat Iha Bhrataha. So Kate Kanta Kaste Putraha Samsaroyam Samsaraha Ayam Ativa Vichitraha Kasyatvam Kakkuta Ayataha Tatvam Chintaya Tadiha Bhrataha. Part of it you may already be understanding. Going through Padangal and their meaning. Ka, so who is? Te, your. Kanta, wife. Who's your wife? Kate Kanta. Kaha, te putraha. Kaha, who? Te, your putraha. Your son. Kaste putraha. So Kate Kanta. Kaste putraha. Then samsaraha. Ayam ativa vichitraha. Ayam samsaram. Ayam samsaraha. This samsaram, this life. When we say samsaram, it not only means married life. Even though colloquially sometimes We use it because most of us spend most of our time in married life only. And so samsaram means immediately we think it's married life. No, samsaraha actually means all the trials and tribulations and the experiences and the pleasures and the pains and everything we go through, the agitated life that we all lead on earth in this life, and that's called samsaraha. So I am samsaraha. This samsaram, ativa means very great, beyond. It's extremely. Vichitraha, it's amazing, wonderful. Vichitraha, just I want to, with Bhagavan's grace, nudge you to enjoy the sweetness of Sanskritam. Chitraha, chitram, we all use that word colloquially, means immediately we think it's painting, right? Okay. Actually, any photograph is also a chitram. Like any moment that you capture, okay, that becomes a very beautiful painting itself in our own life. There are so many things happening, like a very high-speed slideshow that's going on, one after another. So many things happening. Each one is actually a chitram. Each one is actually an image that can be captured. And vichitraha, it explains that very nicely. V means variety of, an assortment of, in so many ways, like that vichitraha. So that is wonderful, that's amazing. That's one crude way of translating that. So I am samsaraha ativa vichitraha. This samsaram, this life is extremely wonderful, extremely amazing. And like a kaleidoscope, the images keep on changing all the time. The pictures keep on changing all the time. So that's what it means. So, kasya, from whom, of whom, tvam, you, that means where did you come from? Of whom or you, where did you come from? Kaha, that comes the next one also. Kaha means kaha tvam, kasya tvam, from of whom did you do you belong to whom? You can crudely translate it that way. Then kaha tvam, who are you? Kaha, who, tvam, you, who are you? Then kutaha, from where? Ayataha, kutaha, tvam ayataha. The tvam you can put it for each one so you understand it in English easier. Even though in Sanskrit it's very clear. Okay, kuta, tvam ayataha, kuta, from where, tvam, you, ayataha, come, where did you come from? So, tvam kasya, who do you belong to, of whom are you? Kaha tvam, who are you? Kuta tvam ayataha, from where did you come? See, all these questions are there. Tattvam, that truth. Chintaya, think. Tad iha, right here, now, here and now. Oh brataha, oh my dear brother. What he says. Who is your wife? Who's your son? Supremely wonderful is this samsaram. Amazing, with so many kaleidoscopic changing of images all the time that we live, right? Of kasyatvam, of whom are you? Kahatvam, who are you? Kutatvam ayataha, from where did you come? O brataha, O brother. Tatvam chintaya tadiha, think of the truth here and now. This is such a very powerful slokam. So who's your wife? Let's start that, okay? The family is important. Bhagavan has given us families, and our attraction and attachment to our family members. Everything has got a very positive reason for it, a very beneficial reason, and that is because that's where we exchange love between each other, experience our love, and because each one of us wants love, so we feel protected and we feel nourished and we feel well taken care of, right? So that grows that way. And in that sense, the family relations, the wife, husband, children, everything has got a beneficial influence on each one of us, regardless of the age we are in, as we passage through our life. Now, by exchanging our love, not only to myself, but to my family members, to my parents, to my children, to my spouse, whatever it is you want to call it, right? I'm also exercising the practice of a little bit reduction in my selfishness. I'm not only focused on myself. I also look at a few other people around me. Even though I'm still selfish, I think they belong to me. But still, it's a little bit more than, say, being absolutely egocentric and only focused on only myself. So in that sense, there is tremendous benefit in living in the family. But the family itself does not become an end in itself. And when man and woman, husband and wife, they live with mutual love and mutual respect in a spirit of togetherness. They lead their life. But each one has to lead their life. They cannot, one cannot lead somebody else's life. So that is very important. Regardless of however close that husband and wife are, which they need to be close, they need to be excellent friends, trustworthy friends, and a pilgrim, so to speak. They journey together in a spirit of togetherness and cooperation towards the lotus feet. It's very important, but in that process, they should not become overly attached to each other. The attachment, after a certain time in life, after the duties are done, should really go towards the lotus feet. In that, each partner helps the other. And the Acharya says that let there be space between the two. It is an individual journey. It is very important. It's an individual journey. This is the truth. Now, the family itself is a field of trial and test that makes us stronger in different aspects that we all know. And the instruction here, the pronouncement here in the slokam, it should not be taken in a pessimistic manner. This is the hard truth, as we saw in the beginning. Bhaja Govindam is also called Moha Mudgaram, which means like a hammer. It is going to kill and then hit and destroy all the delusions. So a message is given in a very blunt, extremely precise manner. So when we apply our intelligent inquiry into the various questions that are posed in this slokam by Acharya, and not be taken back by that, but really understand, okay, what does it mean? Okay, let me understand it using my intelligence. Then we will begin to see the truth. And what is it? Look at, okay, who's your wife? I did not know my wife till I got married to her. I did not know my husband till I got married to him. I was born and my spouse was born somewhere else, and then we met, all of a sudden met, and all of a sudden becomes my wife, my husband. That kind of a thing goes on, right? And then at some point in time, one of the two partners has to precede the other, and that life will be over. That's the way it's going to happen. This is the truth. And they're born independently. Man and woman are born independently. For a while, yes, they live together as husband and wife, carrying out certain disciplined way of running a family life. That's called Grihastha Ashramam. And discipline is very important. And then each one is going to go away independently, not together. And the companionship is very important. Friendship is very important. Togetherness is very important. Mutual love is very important. Cooperation is important. But it is independent. Just like traveling in a train in India and strangers, so long as the journey is there, we're very friendly, we are very hospitable to each other, share our food with them and all that. But my station comes, I get down and go away. It's as simple as that. That is the fundamental truth. Now, so who's the son? And the Kaste Putraha, now we become so attached to our children. But really think about it, where did the son or the daughter come from? Putraha here also denotes Putri too, the children basically. And when you really look at it, apply your intelligence, then you say, before the son or the daughter, let me go on the basis of son. The same thing applies to daughter also. So before the son was born, the son was just a fetus. And before the son was a fetus, and it was existing as a seed, right, in our procreative organs. Then the seed itself, where did that come from? That came from the food that I ate, that I'm eating. But where did the food come from? The food comes from the earth. Simple. And so it is just the earth itself, one clod of earth, one part of earth that has changed its form and appearing like a son, like a daughter. If you really analyze it like that, and that's where it leads you to the truth. Now, interestingly, where did I come from? I came from the same clod of earth, same mud. So, it's one part of mud getting attached to another part of mud. And this is amazing. This is vichitram. This is what Acharya says. It's so wonderful. It's amazing. We call it as Maya, delusion, whatever you call it. It's an amazing thing how it is nothing but one piece of mud is getting attached to another piece of mud, if you look at it like that. Then the next question is, Kasyatvam, to whom do you belong to? We got to think about that. Do I really belong to my parents? Who do I really, really belong to? What can I really call as my home? They start thinking along those lines. And who are you? That's the next. Kahatvam. Who are you? Who am I really? Right? Am I this body? Am I this mind? I know I'm not this. So who am I really? And next question. Kuta tvam ayataha. Where did I come from? I've got to think. So who do I belong to? Who am I? Where did I come from? And where am I going? Right? These are the questions. Tattvam chintaya. So think along these lines. Bhrata, oh my dear brother, and do it tat iha. Do it here and now. Start thinking along these lines. So apply your intelligence. That's what he says in this slokam. Kate kanta kaste putraha samsaro yamativa vichitraha kasyatvam kakkuta ayataha tattvam chintaya tadiha bhrataha. Next slokam, number 9. Satsangatve nitsangatvam nissangatve nirmohatvam nirmohatve nischalatatvam nischalatatve jivan muktihi. Satsangatve nitsangatvam nissangatve nirmohatvam nirmohatve nischalatatvam nischalatatve jivan muktihi. Satsangaha sasangatve nitsangatvam nitsangatve nirmohatvam nirmohatve nischalatatvam nischalatatve jivan muktihi. Satsangam. Satsangam is generally understood to mean company of the good. That is one way to understand it. Next, some people say also company of the godly, the Godward bound people who are thinking of God all the time, if not most of the time. People who are inclined naturally think and speak and hear of God, of the Paramatma, of the one entity, the supreme entity that is there. So those are the noble souls, the good souls. A good person is a godly person. So Sangam means company. When you have the company of good people, the godly people, the people who are extremely loving by disposition. The love is a selfless love that comes from the company of God. Another true meaning of Satsangatve is really Sat means something that never changes. Sat, Satyam, that never changes in the three periods of time, past, present, or future. And what is it that does not change in the past, present, or future? Any company I keep, even if I keep the company of good people, and they all vanish. They disappear, I disappear, things change, they become old, I become old, whatever it is, right? So it is not a permanent thing. But what is permanent, that is never changes, that is Sat. And that is Satyam, that is truth. As we say in English, that is truth. That is also called Dharma, that is also called Prema, that is also called Shanti, this peace, and also called Ahimsa. Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Ahimsa. These are the 5 pillars on which we should lead our life. The foundation on which we should lead our life. We keep the company of Satya, company of Dharma, company of Prema, company of Shanti, company of Ahimsa. Then mental company I'm talking about, not physical. Physically, it's irrelevant where we are, really, okay? And because physical things are going to change. But mentally, if I hold on to these 5 pillars, then I'm keeping the company. I'm having what is known as satsangam. Out of these 5 pillars, Sathya, Dharma, Shanti, Prema, Ahimsa, Prema is the only thing we need to be worried about, to be concerned about, to be focused on. Why? Prema is nothing but, crudely defined, translated in English, it means selfless love. Now, Prema, selfless love, expressed in words, in speech, becomes Satyam. Selfless love, Prema, expressed in action, becomes Dharmam. Prema in being, just by being, that is Shanti. It is peace. It's so happiness, blissful peace, that is. And Prema, by its disposition, by its bhavam, if you want to call it that way, by its disposition, is always ahimsa, never hurts anything. So Prema is the fundamental. If I keep the company of love, love, then I'm keeping satsangam. Then what happens? Satsangatve. Now, satsangam is a very important slokam, tells you in a step-by-step process, the pathway, so to speak. There are only 4 steps to reach Bhagavan and embrace the lotus feet and be freed from the samsaram, from the birth-death cycle, to get back home. There is, if you want to put a Google map and gives you a pathway and there are 4 steps, this is what it is to get back home, right? And I'm talking of true home, which is where we all really came from. And that is where we are also heading back. Okay, we are all heading back, whether we realize it or not. We are all on a return journey back to the home where we all came from. Now, the pathway here is simple, 4 steps. First step is satsangam. So, to get the company of the good and the godly people, if one were to be blessed with that, that is the most precious blessing in this whole world, is to be blessed with good company, with satsangam. Now, what we call satsangam is not satsangam. We're having a satsang today, and then we go and sing bhajans and have a big feast, and then gossip and yap, and then still our enigmatic feeling towards each other is there, and towards some of us is there. All the mental agitations are there. That is not satsangam. I mean, we use the word very loosely, but a real satsangam, company of a true pilgrim who's taken a committed journey towards the lotus feet. Just one person, if you come across him, that company of him is a satsangam. Or internally, I think of Bhagavan, I think of this prema that is within me. Either way, if that were to happen, and when that happens, that is the clearest sign of the most treasure and the precious treasure of a blessing, signal blessing of the infinite grace of Bhagavan, is to start with satsangam. Because once satsangam takes place, automatically you come to nitsangam. Satsangatve nissangatvam. Nissangatvam means, it's a very important thing. It's also described in Bhagavad Gita also. Bhagavan describes it very nicely. What happens when you truly and sincerely seek God? When you, whatever name you call him, that's immaterial, because all names are his and all forms are his. And so you choose any form, any name, and you really want to say, we know so many people in our life. So many people we know, right? But do I really know my best friend, by Rama, Krishna, whoever you want to call him? And then if you really want to say, I want to talk to you, I want to see you, I want to touch you, you really seek him sincerely. That moment, that once a satsangam is begun, the desire to embrace the lotus feet has begun, automatically your attachment to the worldly company will start withering away. will start decoupling, will start disappearing. That is Nisangatvam. Nisangatvam means, in one way we can call it a solitude. In English we call it a solitude, but it's really not solitude, because the mind is never by itself. It needs a company. A solitude, when we here, I'm using the word crudely, but that really means keeping the company of Bhagavan. That means not with the company of any other human being. Now, they may be present, you may be talking to them, but you see Bhagavan in them, you see God in them. You don't see them as another human being. You really see the same God who is resident in your heart also resides in them. You see the same form in them. So you're keeping the company of God all the time. So that becomes Nisangatvam. The crowd and the groups and the various pulls of the various attractions in the world, not only human beings' company of TV, company of music, company of so many things, right? Whatever it is out in the world, right? All those things really wither away. They become irrelevant and immaterial and non-existent, because you really keep the company of Bhagavan. Then what happens? Satsangatve Nisangatvam. Then if at that stage what happens? This is the second step. Now you go to the third step. Once that happens, the automatic disenchantment with the worldly company, okay, not out of dislike or something that you don't want. Nothing. It's not like a dislike. It is just something that doesn't matter to you. I mean, you become indifferent to it, right? And that does not mean you hate it, okay? But you become indifferent to it. They don't matter to you anymore, right? That is what it is. Then from there, Nisangatve Nirmohatvam. See, this moham means delusion. What is a delusion? What is this moham? We call it Maya and all. What is it exactly? I am the doer. I am so and so. I am, I'm a president in this company. I'm this. I'm that. I'm a rich man. I'm a poor man. So many things we think about ourselves, right? So that moham, nirmohatam, that will start vanishing. Because when you keep the company of God, you become God Himself. Okay, this is very, very important. Then that feeling that I have attached to this body and to this mind will start withering away, will start declining, will weaken, will go away eventually. So nirmohatvam, from nisangatve nirmohatvam. Then what happens? Once that delusion starts weakening and going away, right now our status, our mind is always agitated. Not a second, not for a fraction of a second it is calm, right? It is going from place to place, thinking of so many things, right? So much agitation in there. But once I keep the company of God and the external things start going away, and I also feel I am really part of this entity I am embracing mentally, that nirmohatvam stage, what happens to my mind? It becomes steady and peaceful. Nischala tattvam, very stable. It does not run around, it does not yanker around, it is agitated, it is so peaceful. Nischala tattvam. Then once that nischala tattvam comes, mind is steady and single focused on Bhagavan, on the Sat that I'm keeping the company of. Then what happens? In this body itself, while the life breath is in this body, while I'm breathing in and out, what happens to me? I become a Jivan Mukta. That means I'm freed from the shackles of birth and death. Right while I live in this body itself, I become a Jivan Mukta. That is a 4-step process that Acharya has given here. Satsangatve Nitsangatvam, Nitsangatve Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve Nischalatatvam, Nischalatatve Jivan Muktihi. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastalokaha Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om.